Hi, I'm Darryl Montgomery from the New York Investing Meetup, and this is an intermeeting update on September 29, 2008. Today, the Wall Street bailout bill failed in Congress. Now, this is a good thing. This bill was basically a scam. It was simply meant to be a bailout for Wall Street itself. It was not going to do anything it intended to do, what they claimed it was going to do. Let's go over the history and what happened. This is a bill that was proposed by President Bush and Treasury Secretary Paulson, and Fed Chair Bernanke was along for the ride. The proposal came out on September 18th, and this was about 1 week before Congress was scheduled to go into recess. It was meant to railroad them into passing this bill. They would have very little time to think about it. They would be panicked into doing it, and there would be $700 billion in Wall Street's coffer as a result. What was the $700 billion for? It was meant to buy up toxic securities that Wall Street banks and brokers held, and originally nothing was expected in return. It was just a gift. Now, not only that, the Treasury Secretary got to decide by himself who got what money and when and how. So this gave him enormous dictatorial powers. There was lots of dissension about this. The Democrats modified the bill to add that the United States would get some equity as a result of giving these loans. Caps were put on CEO salaries. Some oversight was allegedly added by Congress to the Treasury Secretary, but not really. It was really quite insubstantial. And then the Republicans also were upset with this bill, and they added the idea of insurance for securities instead of a direct bailout or direct payments, and this is sort of like FDIC insurance for bank accounts. But that really went, it was incorporated in the bill in the end. It wasn't used as a substitute for a bill. Now, its purpose was to prevent paying taxpayer money. That did not happen. The important thing about the bill is that the bill was being sold as it was going to free up bank lending. The credit system was frozen. There were problems, and you give all this money to Wall Street, somehow the credit system would be unfrozen, banks would start lending again. However, if you looked at this bill, you would have seen there were no provisions, no mechanisms, and no requirements in the bill that banks had to lend again. So how is this going to happen? Apparently it was just going to happen by magic and the goodwill of Wall Street banks. The American public didn't buy this. Reports were that calls were coming into Capitol Hill offices, 101 against this bill. There was literally no support in the hinterlands for this, none whatsoever. Now you also have to keep in mind, all of the people in the House of Representatives are up for election in November in approximately 6 weeks. And there is a constituent rebellion going on. Why were people so angry? If you go back and we look at the history, you'll see Fed Chair Bernanke, Treasury Secretary Paulson have been wrong since the beginning of the credit crisis. They have made one incorrect, inaccurate statement after another. And if you go back, you'll see Bernanke actually said in June of 2007 that the subprime crisis would not be a big problem. And, approximately 1 month later, it just burst forth, became a major headline issue, started tanking the financial system. He was completely oblivious, did not see it coming. And since then, he's engaged in one action after another, after another, after another, that have been proven to be ineffective. Now, for Paulson on his part, he's not done any better. In fact, only maybe 2 months ago, he came to Congress for the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bailout, and he said, oh, give me a blank check, give me the most money possible. This will, we won't even need to do the bailout if this happens, and everything will be fine. Well, within 6 weeks, not only was a bailout necessary, but the federal government had to take over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So, and initially, they spent $200 billion. That's just initially, that's just the down payment. So this guy said everything is fine, everything's wonderful. 6 weeks later, he's proven to be a complete liar or a complete ignoramus. And now he comes back saying, I know all about the credit crisis. I know how to fix it. This is the bill that will work. Well, you know, he's proven he can't be trusted, but Bernanke's proven he can't be trusted. And now we should give them $700 billion of taxpayer money to make even a bigger mess. Well, the public didn't seem to buy that. And not only that, up to about 2 weeks before this bill was proposed, both Bernanke and Paulson were saying, as they have said continuously, that everything was fine with the economy, everything is going to be fine, everything is going to work out. Suddenly, overnight, their tune changed. So the question is, like, were they lying then, or are they lying now? Another thing to consider is that Secretary Paulson seems to own 5.5 million shares of Goldman Sachs stock. And this would make him, at one time, would have made him a billionaire. And this is most, if not all, of his fortune. And he suddenly saw the desperate need for a bailout when Goldman Sachs stock started to tank. And it looked like Goldman Sachs itself might go under. It might go to zero one day. Which means he would go from being a billionaire to being, you know, having no money whatsoever, basically. So his desperation for a bailout isn't to save the American economic system, it's to save his own personal fortune.